Dr. Bridget Harrison peered through the submersible's reinforced viewport, her breath catching as the underwater vessel's lights illuminated something that shouldn't exist 3 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean. The structure before her was massive, its surface covered in perfectly geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with a faint, bluish luminescence. "Felix, are you seeing this?" she whispered into her comlink, knowing her research partner, Dr. Felix Blackwood, was watching the feed from their research vessel above. "Reading you clear, Bridget. The energy signatures are off the charts. Whatever this structure is, it's definitely not natural formation." The discovery had started with a simple anomaly, unusual seismic readings that didn't match any known geological patterns. Now, after months of preparation and research grants, they were finally face to face with something that defied conventional archaeology. "I'm going to try to get closer," Bridget announced, carefully maneuvering the submersible toward what appeared to be an entrance. The structure's architecture was unlike anything recorded in human history. Smooth, flowing lines that seemed to defy the laws of physics, materials that showed no signs of deterioration despite their obvious age. As the submersible's lights swept across the entrance, something changed. The geometric patterns began to shift and realign, creating new configurations that moved with deliberate purpose. A soft vibration ran through the water, and Bridget's instruments started displaying readings she'd never seen before. "Felix, the structure, it's responding to our presence." Her heart raced as she watched the patterns continue their hypnotic dance. "These aren't just decorative elements. There's some kind of interface. Bridget, your submersible's power readings are spiking. Something's interfacing with your systems." Before she could respond, a beam of light shot from the structure, enveloping the submersible in a soft, blue glow. Instead of panic, Bridget felt an overwhelming sense of recognition, as if something deep within her DNA was awakening to a long-forgotten truth. The submersible's screens flickered and changed, displaying symbols that seemed to write themselves into existence. They weren't hieroglyphs or any known ancient script. They were something far more complex, yet somehow familiar. "Felix, are you recording this?" Bridget asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "These symbols, they're changing, adapting. It's like they're trying to communicate. Recording everything." "But Bridget, that's not all. The energy signature. It's matching frequencies we've detected from deep space. Whatever this thing is, it's not just ancient. It's not even from Earth." As if responding to Felix's words, the symbols coalesced into a 3-dimensional hologram that filled the submersible's cabin. It showed a map of the galaxy, but not as they knew it. Certain star systems were connected by lines of light, forming a vast network that centered on Earth. "My God," Bridget breathed, watching as the hologram zoomed in on Earth, showing similar structures hidden across the planet. "We're not looking at evidence of ancient aliens visiting Earth. We're looking at evidence that humanity itself once ruled the stars." The hologram shifted again, revealing images of human-like beings wielding technologies beyond imagination, building worlds, crossing vast distances of space in the blink of an eye. But there was something else. A warning, encoded in the very way the images were presented. "Felix," Bridget said, her voice growing urgent, "we need to assemble a full team. This isn't just an archaeological find. It's the key to humanity's true history. And I think something out there has been waiting for us to find it." The structure pulsed once more, and new data began downloading into the submersible's computers. Star charts, coordinates, and what appeared to be activation sequences for other hidden structures around the world. Humanity's forgotten legacy was awakening, but they weren't the only ones who would notice. In the darkness of the ocean, watching from distances beyond their sensors' reach, ancient guardians stirred. The children of Earth had finally found their first key. The trial of reclamation was about to begin. "Return to the surface," Felix urged. "Whatever we've just discovered, it's bigger than us. We need to contact Dr. Winston at the Astronomical Institute. If these coordinates are real, if what we're seeing is true, then everything we know about human history is wrong." Bridget finished, carefully beginning her ascent. We're not just some young species taking our first steps into space. We're going home. As the submersible rose through the dark waters, the structure below dimmed its lights, returning to its centuries-long vigil. But now it was active, sending signals to its counterparts across the planet and into the depths of space. Humanity had found their first clue, and the greatest adventure in human history was about to begin. Professor Diana Walsh's fingers traced the holographic symbols floating in the secure laboratory of the Global Archaeological Institute. The data Dr. Harrison's team had recovered from the underwater structure had kept her awake for days, her mind racing with implications that threatened to overturn everything humanity thought they knew about their origins. The pattern recognition software has finished its analysis, Dr. Theo Reeves announced, his usual calm demeanor betraying excitement as he brought up new displays. These aren't just random symbols, they're mathematical equations, complex ones. Diana nodded, her eyes never leaving the shifting patterns. They're describing stellar dynamics, quantum mechanics we haven't even theorized yet. This isn't just a message, Theo. It's a textbook left by our ancestors. The laboratory hummed with energy as dozens of researchers worked to decode the vast database recovered from the Pacific site. Similar structures had been discovered in the Arabian Desert and beneath the Antarctic ice, each one activating in sequence after the first discovery. Look at this, Theo said, pulling up a new hologram. The stellar cartography matches nothing in our current charts, but when we account for stellar drift over 50,000 years. He manipulated the display, and suddenly, the star patterns aligned perfectly with known configurations. Diana felt her breath catch. They knew we'd need time to evolve again, to reach a point where we could understand this. They planned for it. But why leave? Why abandon such advanced technology? Theo wondered, adjusting his glasses as he studied the data. A civilization capable of interstellar travel doesn't just disappear without reason. Before Diana could respond, the laboratory's main display lit up with an urgent message from one of the Antarctic research teams. New chambers had been discovered, and inside them, something unprecedented, stasis pods, perfectly preserved. They're empty, the team reported, but the biological residue inside, it's human. Completely human, just with subtle genetic markers we've never seen before. Diana exchanged looks with Theo. Not markers we've never seen before, she corrected. Markers we've lost. This is who we were before whatever happened that made us start over. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just reached the stars. They had ruled them. But something had forced them to retreat, to hide their legacy in the most secure places they could find, waiting for their descendants to evolve once again. As if triggered by their discovery, new data began streaming across their screens. The stasis pod chamber was transmitting, sharing its secrets after millennia of silence. But these weren't just technical specifications or star charts. These were memories, preserved in quantum storage systems beyond their current understanding. My God, Theo whispered as the first images formed. They showed Earth, but not as they knew it. Great cities stretched into the sky. Ships of impossible design soared between the stars, and humans, their ancestors, worked alongside technologies that seemed like magic. They weren't just advanced, Diana realized, watching the memories unfold. They were approaching something like godhood, the ability to reshape matter, to control the fundamental forces of the universe itself. The memories shifted, showing other worlds, other species. Humanity hadn't been alone in the galaxy. They had been leaders, teachers, guardians of countless younger races. But there was darkness too, glimpses of conflict, of terrible weapons, and desperate decisions. Something went wrong, Theo said softly. Something that made them choose to hide everything, to start over. They didn't just leave us their technology, they left us a warning. Diana nodded, her mind racing as new patterns emerged in the data. These coordinates keep appearing, pointing to a specific location far beyond our current reach. I think that's where the answers are, where everything began. But as they worked to decode more of the message, neither of them noticed the subtle signals being transmitted from the ancient devices. Deep in space, something was stirring. The heirs of humanity had found their legacy, but they weren't the only ones who had been waiting for this moment. The race to reclaim humanity's birthright was about to begin, and not everyone watching from the shadows wanted them to succeed. Dr. Imran Patel stood at the viewport of the stellar horizon, humanity's first faster-than-light vessel, constructed using principles decoded from the ancient archives. The ship's quantum drive hummed with power that humanity was only beginning to understand, propelling them toward coordinates that had haunted his dreams since they were first discovered. "The quantum signatures are holding steady," he reported, checking the complex array of instruments before him. "Whatever our ancestors built this drive to find, we're getting closer." Dr. Bridget Harrison nodded from her position at the command console. After her initial discovery in the Pacific, she had fought to lead this mission personally. "The beacon signal is getting stronger. Whatever's out there, it knows we're coming." The crew of the Stellar Horizon represented Earth's finest minds, archaeologists, physicists, linguists, and engineers, all chosen for their ability to think beyond conventional boundaries. They would need every bit of that creativity for what lay ahead. "Energy spike," Imran called out suddenly, his instruments lighting up with new readings. "Something's interacting with our drive field." The ship shuddered, and for a moment, reality itself seemed to twist. When the distortion cleared, they found themselves in a region of space that didn't match any of their charts. Before them floated what appeared to be a massive space station, its architecture matching the structures they'd found on Earth. "It's a waypoint," Bridget breathed, recognizing the patterns etched into its surface. "The first stop on a journey our ancestors meant us to take." As they approached, the station came to life, patterns of light racing across its surface like circuits awakening. A beam of energy reached out, scanning their ship with technologies far beyond their understanding. "We're being pulled in," Imran announced, watching as the ship's controls responded to external commands. Some kind of automated docking sequence. The docking procedure was flawless, as if the ancient station had been waiting specifically for them. As they prepared to board, atmospheric readings showed conditions perfectly suited for human life. "They really did plan for everything," Bridget mused as they stepped through the airlock. They knew exactly what their descendants would need. The station's interior was a marvel of engineering and artistry combined. Corridors seemed to shift and flow, responding to their presence. Holographic displays sprang to life, showing star charts and data streams that updated in real time. "This isn't just a waypoint," Imran realized as he studied the data. "It's a nexus point, connected to similar stations throughout the galaxy. Our ancestors built a network, a way to monitor and protect countless worlds." But as they delved deeper into the station's archives, they found something disturbing. The network wasn't just for exploration or scientific research. It was a defense system, created to guard against something their ancestors had encountered in the depths of space. "Look at these readings," Imran said, his voice tense. "The quantum signatures we followed. They're not just coming from this station. Something else out there is using similar technology, something that's been dormant for as long as these stations have." Bridget felt a chill run down her spine as new data filled the screens around them. Their ancestors hadn't just hidden their legacy to protect it. They had hidden it to prevent it from being used against them. The power they had wielded could reshape reality itself, and there were others who had coveted that power. "We need to reach the source," she decided, studying the coordinates that still beckoned from deeper in space. "Whatever our ancestors were protecting themselves from, it's still out there. And I think it's waking up." As if in response to her words, alarms began blaring throughout the station. New signals were appearing, quantum distortions that didn't match the patterns of their ancestors' technology. "We're not alone out here," Imran warned, watching as multiple contacts appeared on the station's long-range sensors. "Whatever forced our ancestors into hiding, I think they've been waiting for us to find this place." The station's defenses began to power up, ancient weapons stirring to life after millennia of silence. Humanity had found their way back to the stars, but the trial of reclaiming their legacy was far from over. Something was coming, drawn by the awakening of the ancient network, and the crew of the Stellar Horizon would have to face it with technology they barely understood. The real test was about to begin, and the fate of two civilizations, past and present, hung in the balance. Dr. Naomi Rodriguez's hands flew across the quantum interface as the ancient station's defenses powered up around them. As the team's stellar cartographer, she had spent months studying the ancestral maps, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. Multiple quantum signatures approaching. She called out, watching as mysterious vessels emerged from the depths of space. Their energy patterns, they're using corrupted versions of our ancestors' technology. Dr. Bridget Harrison stood at the command center, her mind racing as she processed the situation. The station's archives had revealed the truth. Their ancestors hadn't just hidden their legacy. They had sacrificed their civilization to prevent their technology from being corrupted by beings they called the Void Seekers, entities that had tried to twist humanity's achievements into weapons of universal destruction. They're trying to access the station's systems, Dr. Imran Patel reported, his fingers dancing across quantum controls they'd only begun to understand. The security protocols are holding, but these attacks, they're familiar with the technology. Of course they are, Bridget realized, watching as ancient defense systems engage. They'd been waiting all this time, knowing humanity would eventually return to the stars. We're not just reclaiming our legacy, we're finishing a war our ancestors couldn't win. The station shuddered as energy beams lanced through space. The Void Seekers' ships were beautiful in their terrible efficiency, organic-looking vessels that seemed to absorb light itself. But the station's defenses were holding, protecting its human inhabitants as if recognizing them as the true heirs to its power. The central archive is unlocking. Dr. Felix Blackwood's voice came through the comm system. He had remained in a secured section of the station, working to decode the final messages left by their ancestors. It's responding to our presence, to our DNA. We're being given access to everything. New displays sprang to life around them, showing the full scope of their ancestors' plan. The hidden structures on Earth, the sleeping stations scattered across space, they weren't just preservation systems. They were pieces of a vast machine, one that could rewrite the fundamental laws of reality itself. The Void Seekers, Naomi breathed, reading the data as it appeared. They're not just aliens. They're what our ancestors were becoming before they chose to turn back. The price of too much power, too much control over the basic forces of existence. Understanding dawned on Bridget's face. That's why they hid everything. Why they chose to start over. They saw what unlimited power was doing to them, how it was corrupting their civilization. They didn't just hide their legacy. They chose to be reborn, to evolve again naturally, hoping their descendants would learn to use their gifts wisely. The station rocked with another impact, but now the defense systems were adapting, responding to human commands with increasing efficiency. The Void Seekers had strength, but humanity had something they had lost, the ability to grow, to learn, to change. All stations, listen carefully, Bridget commanded, her voice steady as she initiated the sequence their ancestors had left for them. We're not here to simply reclaim our past. We're here to prove we've learned from it. The station's quantum core pulsed with energy as ancient systems fully activated. But instead of weapons, instead of the reality warping powers the Void Seekers sought, it generated something else, a field of pure possibility, offering both humanity and their attackers a choice. We can do what they couldn't, Bridget announced, watching as the quantum field expanded. We can choose to grow naturally, to earn our advancement step by step, or we can take the quick path to power and risk losing everything that makes us human. The Void Seekers' ships hesitated as the field washed over them. For the first time in millennia, they faced not weapons or defenses, but the opportunity to remember what they had once been, to reclaim their own lost humanity. Some fled, retreating into the darkness between stars. But others remained, their ships powering down as ancient programming gave way to new possibilities. They had been created as guardians, corrupted by power, but humanity's choice offered them a chance to remember their original purpose. It's not about reclaiming our destiny, Bridget realized as the quantum field stabilized, creating a new network of possibilities throughout the galaxy. It's about choosing it, about proving we're ready for the legacy our ancestors left us. As the station's systems settled into new patterns, as ancient technologies adapted to work with rather than dominate the natural laws of space and time, humanity took its first true steps back into the cosmic community. They had faced their trial, confronted the temptations that had led their ancestors astray, and chosen a different path. The stars beckoned, not as territory to be conquered, but as gardens to be tended, as communities to be nurtured. Humanity had reclaimed not just their technology, but their role as guardians of life's infinite possibilities. "Send word back to Earth," Bridget commanded, watching as the first light of a new dawn spread across the galaxy. "Tell them we're coming home, and we're bringing hope with us." The ancient station hummed with renewed purpose, its systems no longer waiting in darkness, but actively reaching out to connect, to heal, to grow. Humanity's true inheritance wasn't power over the universe, but the wisdom to be part of it. And in the depths of space, on countless worlds touched by the quantum field's passage, new possibilities began to bloom. The age of reclamation was over. The age of renewal had begun.